And I woke up this morning and I was like, Dylan, what are you going to do today to be a girl? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stay right here. Girls deserve to stay in bed sometimes.
I'm sorry, but I do not believe that Dylan Mulvaney is truly a trans woman. I believe that Dylan Mulvaney is a troll. I do not believe that Dylan Mulvaney has gender dysphoria. As a natural-born woman, I take personal offense to literally his entire social media. And if I were a trans woman, I would take equal amounts of offense because he's making a mockery of the struggles that real trans women go through. Dylan Mulvaney is a biological male who began documenting his transition into girlhood. And I say girlhood because that is the word that he uses. So he went from being a 28-year-old biological male to being a girl. A girl who likes to play with Barbies and stand on street corners and offer women tampons.
Let's see if anybody needs a tampon. Hi, would you want any tampons? I'm just giving them out. Oh, cool.
Dylan Mulvaney has all the audacity, all of it. He left nothing left for anyone else. He took all the audacity that exists in the world. There's no woman who stands out on the street corner and just hands out tampons. Not unless they work for public health or they work for Tampax and they're like a part of the marketing team trying to promote tampons. He's making a mockery of what it is to be a female. So Dylan began documenting their transition in March of 2022.
Day one of being a girl, and I have already cried 3 times. I wrote a scathing email that I did not send. I ordered dresses online that I couldn't afford. And then when someone asked me how I was, I said, I'm fine.
We are now in November, so that is about, at this point, 8 months. Dylan Mulvaney has been a trans woman for a whole of 8 months at this point. And Dylan Mulvaney has already managed to get an interview with President of the United States, Joe Biden. His team must not have looked at Dylan's social media. I have no idea of all of the trans people, like not even Laverne Cox, not even somebody who's less problematic. I mean, the only woman that Laverne Cox has really offended is Jada Pinkett.
We can't wait for more red table talk and more entanglements and
I don't know why they chose Dylan Mulvaney, but the irony of choosing Dylan Mulvaney to be the ambassador of the trans movement is that he chose somebody who offends a lot of trans people and a lot of biological women. So by putting somebody like him up on a pedestal, you are furthering the divide between trans acceptance and the trans community. If you look at any video that Dylan Mulvaney has posted to their social media, any video since they've started their transition, they are doing woman face. There's black face and now there's woman face. Woman face is when a man acts as the caricature of the stereotypes of a woman. There's videos of him hiking, wearing high heels. There's videos of him having sleepovers with Barbie dolls. It is impossible to watch any of these videos and not question Dylan Mulvaney's authenticity. You think grown women sit around playing with Barbie dolls just for no reason? We don't play with Barbie dolls, okay? We have other types of toys, okay? We have other types. Dylan is making a mockery of what it means to be a female and is furthering the divide between the trans community and the rest of society. And let me just put this into perspective. I genuinely believe that gender dysphoria is a thing. I still remember when I was in grade 3, I had a classmate and his name was Jordan. And Jordan would always walk around with t-shirts on his head. The whole thing would like fall down his back. He literally walked around looking like a nun. And he liked to wear the t-shirts on his head and sweaters on his head because it made him feel like he had long hair. He always wanted to have long hair. He always wanted to do things that were feminine. He always wanted to play with other girls. He wanted to be considered one of the other girls. And this was like the early 2000s when I was in grade 3. This was at a time where trans was not taught in school. Social media was not a thing. There was no one feeding these thoughts into his head. This is genuinely how he felt. And we genuinely all respected him for it. The teachers, sometimes they would have to ask him to remove the sweaters and the t-shirts because it was hazard, like during gym class. But for the most part, that was just who he was. We all knew and accepted him for what he was. And back then, I had no idea that that was a form of gender dysphoria, or it was gender dysphoria. I didn't know that. That wasn't something that was taught to us. But as an adult, when I look back, that was a true manifestation of gender dysphoria. And I would not be surprised if right now in this day, he has transitioned to a female. It would not surprise me because he was always that way. But one thing that we are seeing now is that researchers are recognizing that there is something called rapid onset gender dysphoria. So these are children, and they find it happens especially with females, female kids, female children, or teenagers. They're finding that these children are now saying that they are trans, but they have never up until that point exhibited any gender dysphoria behaviors, right? Some typical gender dysphoria behaviors are, a boy who's more interested in playing with other girls, a boy who's more interested in Barbie dolls, a boy who wants to put on makeup and put on shoes and stuff like that, and they want to be called she, they want to be recognized to be a female, and the inverse for young girls, they recognize that they want to be called he, they want to play with other boys, they want to do masculine things, they want to wear masculine clothes, they want to be considered a boy. A lot of the parents are saying that their children didn't do any of those things, ever. Never. It wasn't until they became more involved in social media that they started to have these thoughts, and they had influence from their peer group. They found that in social cliques in the school system, that when there's one child in the group that says that they're trans, there's more likely to be other girls in the group who are also going to say that they're trans. There's a social contagion effect. And there are so many young children who follow Dylan Mulvaney, and it's concerning that they are now going to be influenced to become trans, to identify as trans, because they're following along with a trend rather than having true gender dysphoria. And I think it's important to bring up the fact that Dylan Mulvaney was also one of those people who never exhibited any type of symptoms of gender dysphoria. Dylan Mulvaney, back in February of 2022, identified as a gay man. He went from being a gay man to being a trans woman. I spent some time going through Dylan's social media, and I found this video that he posted in August of 2017.
The way tonight, no regrets. Just love, we can dance until we die. You and I will be young forever.
This video is of Dylan performing in front of an audience. We can't see how big the audience is, but we can definitely see how big something else is, okay? He's in his underwear. And I bring this up because one of the common characteristics of people with gender dysphoria is that they reject the sex characteristics that are associated with their birth gender. So as a trans woman who is born a biological male, they would tend to be embarrassed by their male genitalia, by the fact that they don't have breasts, by their facial hair, by their deep voice. Dylan exhibits none of those things. He is so confident in his male body that he is standing basically naked in front of an audience full of people and gyrating his hips. This dude has his full six-pack out, his full chest, his full in a box, he has all of that visible. You can see his full male anatomy, and he looks very comfortable and confident. I don't believe that if he had if he truly had gender dysphoria, if he truly had issues with being a biological male, that he would have the confidence to go on stage. And that's something he's doing by choice. No one's putting a gun to his head. He chose to go on stage and perform in his underwear, in his Calvin Klein underwear, because at that time he was just a gay man. He was a gay man who was comfortable in his body. And I found this other video of Dylan Mulvaney where we see him with a beard, with his deep masculine voice, wearing mannish clothing. He's dressed in a very masculine manner. He has made no attempts to look feminine.
Coming live from Ostrich Land.
I'm sorry, but the math ain't mathing. I don't believe that Dylan has rapid onset gender dysphoria. I don't believe he has any gender dysphoria. I think Dylan is simply a fame whore. Couldn't put that in the title, but I'm gonna say it here. He's a fame whore.
Finally, there are these two right here. And their real resolution is to get funky on national television. What they really mean is to get funky on national television. Take a look.
Dylan wanted to be famous by any means necessary. And congratulations, Dylan, you did it. Congratulations.
Remember to conserve energy unless you're dancing, and then you should use as much energy as possible, like these audience dancers right here.
As a natural-born woman, I've said it before in this video, and I will say it again. I take offense to the stereotypes, to the nasty, ugly stereotypes he perpetuates about women. If you would like to have social acceptance as a trans woman, then you need to stop acting like you're the third sister from White Chicks.
76 of being a girl, and these are my favorite songs of girlhood so far.
Day 11,218 of being a girl, and I still don't have a beard or a Dylan wants to troll, I can troll too. For real though, like after how many days is he going to stop counting? It's like when a woman has a baby, you're like, oh, how old's your baby now? And they're like, oh yeah, she's 36 months old. And it's like, bitch, your child's 3. That's 3. Your child's 3 years old. Stop with the months shit. Stop it. After how many days is he gonna stop counting? Like for real, for real, for real. Dylan is annoying. I know a lot of people, especially a lot of trans people, see through the bullshit. What I want to know is, how long is this going to go on for? My concern is that children are being influenced to identify as trans rather than truly being trans. When you begin transition, even if it's just hormones or hormone blockers, let me be clear, they are irreversible. I can't tell you the amount of videos that I've seen online of detransitioners who were females who transitioned to male. They got on male hormones, they got on testosterone, and their voices have dropped. They've grown facial hair. They have male pattern baldness now, and they can't reverse it. Even the ones who didn't lose their hair, and they still look like a female, they have deep, deep Barry White type voices. They sound like men, some of them. A lot of them now sound like men, and they can never, ever, ever reverse it. That's the way that they're going to sound for the rest of their life. Right now, there's not enough safeguards for children when it comes to gender affirmation therapy and gender affirming procedures. And people like Dylan Mulvaney are advocating that there are even less safeguards, that your children have more access to these gender confirming treatments, to these hormones, to everything that could potentially harm them physically, harm them mentally. He's advocating for these to be more readily available, and it's dangerous. I've gone a little bit on a rant, but I had to say that. This whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, it's so dangerous on so many levels, and it's just really offensive. I want to know what your thoughts are. Please share them down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel to 1,000 subscribers. So any subscriber that I get, I'll take it. So please join my little community that I'm trying to build here, and I will see you in the next one.